You're listening to Happy Hour Hustle from the creative geniuses here at 834. We're funny, informative, and we swear. We talk all things marketing, communication, small business, plus we offer up hot takes on our industry and whatever else we feel like talking about. So, grab your drink of choice. It's always 5 o'clock at 834. And crank it up. Hey Hustlers, we're continuing our series today talking to the incredible women business owners who make up this year's cohort of the Women's Entrepreneurial Fellowship. This episode, we're highlighting Jody Hayden, co-owner of Grocer's Daughter Chocolate in Empire, Michigan. Jody spent her entire career elevating the specialty coffee and chocolate industries, starting with co-founding Michigan's first fair trade coffee roaster back in 2001. She's led over 30 consumer delegations to cocoa and coffee growing regions around the world. She's a certified chocolatier, and she serves on the board of the Heirloom Cocoa Preservation Fund. Basically, if it involves great chocolate and doing business the right way, Jody's your person. Here's our conversation. Jody, thank you so much for joining us today on Happy Hour Hustle.
Thank you for having me.
So we always start with the same question on this since it is Happy Hour Hustle. What is your drink of choice?
Drink of choice. Well, right here, coffee, just black coffee, really good, preferably from a local roaster. So yeah, typically I always have some with me. I am a middle-aged, a 50-year-old mom and entrepreneur. So coffee helps keep me going.
Keeps everyone running. I've had 3 cups today and I'm on to energy drinks now, so I understand.
Yeah, I usually move on to hot chocolate in the afternoon. I mean, of course, I work at a chocolate business, but I really, one of those a day is just perfect.
Awesome. And so you are owner of Grocer's Daughter, which if you've ever been to Northern Michigan, you know Grocer's Daughter. But for those who haven't, can you talk a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so Grocer's Daughter Chocolate has been in Empire since 2004. One of the things we love is being ambassadors to Northern Michigan and the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore. We have always been mission driven, so we care a lot about our community and about the producers that we source from, and that was my specialty in specialty coffee in the past. I co-founded Higher Grounds Trading Company up here and then moved on to chocolate, and so we took that passion for direct sourcing from coffee into chocolate. Unbelievably, it wasn't being done easily in the past in chocolate. So it was really hard for us to trace our chocolate all the way back to the farmer when I bought this business in 2013. And now we can say that we can trace it back to farmers and we go and visit them every year. So we're super proud of that. And then, taking care of our community and our staff. And of course, this year it feels more important than ever, but really trying to give back to the people that support this business, that make this business run every day, and then, make a living for ourselves. So it's really, a quality of life business at this point, but we're growing organically. And if we can continue to have a positive impact in this world, that we want to continue to grow, right? And so it's really special to create these amazing treats that are clean ingredients, share them with people, and get to be part of people's lives in this really joyful way. When people come in to buy chocolate or gelato, it's typically like they're treating themselves. They're spending an afternoon with their loved ones. So we don't take for granted that we get to be part of that moment in people's lives. And yeah, and it feels really special. And I feel very privileged to get to work in a beautiful place with a beautiful community. And I realize not everyone in the world has the access to that. So yeah, I'm very grateful for all of it and for the resources that the state gives a small business like us. So even part of this fellowship, being part of it is really wonderful. And I'm learning a ton from all of you. So thank you so much, Maddie.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And full disclosure, I'm up in Empire all the time. So love Grocer's Daughter Chocolate.
Quality control.
It's a stop every time we're up there. So you said that you bought the business in 2013. What prompted that? What got you involved?
Yeah, so it was all about relationships. The woman that started the business originally was from Denmark, and she had been a social worker her entire career. But in 2004, when she was about 50, she decided to make kind of a holiday hobby. She would make holiday truffles for friends into a business. So she started just making really beautiful European style truffles. She didn't even have milk chocolate or white chocolate when she started. She only had dark chocolate, which is unheard of, especially in the Midwest. And so I became friends with her because I was building Higher Grounds Trading Company at that time. So a bunch of food entrepreneurs kind of informally would meet, and we would just share business ideas, experiences. We actually put a gift together for the holidays with Higher Grounds coffee and her chocolate and other people's products as well. So I got to know her really, really well. And now she's like, we call her our chocolate fairy godmother. She's very much still at the heart of the business. She lives up the road, but she retired, and she always would say that she loved making chocolate, but she hated running the business. You know, all of the other things that come along with any business, payroll, and everybody knows this, right? And so, yeah, so at around 60, she was ready to sell. And I think for me, it was a really fun opportunity and new challenge. Chocolate is harder than coffee in a lot of ways to make money. There's more steps involved in the process. But it's very inspiring, you know, to work with these producers and the incredible staff that we have. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
That's awesome. And what's been the most energizing part of running this business over the past, oh my gosh, it was 13 years math?
Yeah, a couple of things. You know, the chocolate industry itself is in, I would say, a renaissance. So people are starting to really appreciate that it's an agricultural product and that there is really different flavor profiles in chocolate depending on where it's from, how it's roasted, but also just this love of like a clean ingredient treat. So think of our Twixes, our Reese's peanut butter cups from our childhood, like having an elevated version of those for folks that liked them from our childhood, but realize now like, oh, maybe like a cleaner ingredient version of that we can provide that feels great. But I think the most energizing part of this business is the people, the relationships, the people you meet, the people you learn from, the stories of customers. Like we hear stories about people sending this chocolate. Like last year, I remember one particular story. I'll tell it quickly. There was a customer whose mother was elderly and ill and wasn't eating. And they thought this was going towards her end, and they started sending her dark chocolate, and that was like the only thing that she would eat. And so this customer reached out just to tell us the story. And and I just love that our community and our customers do those things. They tell us stories like that regularly. And so I really value those relationships. And as a small business, like we do get to hear from our customers and understand like how, they're enjoying the chocolate or the gelato in their lives. And that's very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And, talking about the customers and the relationships, I'm sure that's something you're really proud of building. But what would you say, is there a singular moment that stands out in your mind, or single thing that is what you're most proud of and how you've been running this business over the years?
Yeah, I would say, our younger staff, watching them go from 14-year-olds in their first jobs to graduating from high school and then graduating from college, and then they continue to come back. And I don't know that there's anything more rewarding. Like they want to be here. They want to come back. At the holidays, all of our college students come in and work during the holiday break, and I get to catch up with them. But just to see them mature into these really incredible, really intelligent, compassionate adults. And, we get to see them from like young teens all the way through college. And now there's multiples of those, mostly women, but also guys around us. And yeah, that's the most rewarding thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be great, just following people. They're like little adults and then they're big adults.
Exactly. And seeing the trajectory of their lives. And, a lot of them go to Michigan Tech or Michigan, they go to a local college. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's just fun to see them taking on the world in their own way and making their own mark. And I'm just really I'm so proud of all of them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say is something about Grocer's Daughter that makes it stand out from other, chocolate makers in the
Yeah,
world?
that's a really good question. I think that our commitment to our ingredients, like that we never compromise. If we can get the best quality ingredient, whether it's like, the dozens of ingredients we source in Michigan, from cherries to like ironfish, spirits from down the road, coffee, tea, spices, herbs. We have a local lady that grows flowers in the summer and then dries them and powderizes them for us to use on truffles. Like, there's so many people that are, that influence the quality of our product, and just continuing to have these relationships with them. I think I'm super proud of that, our quality, and that our whole team cares about that. So it's kind of embedded in who we are. And then just that we're values driven. Like, no matter what's happening in the world, we're never gonna compromise our values or our mission, even if it means like, it's going to cost us more money in some regards. I don't care, like, we don't make decisions just based on short-term profitability, and we never will. And I think I'm proud of that. Like, I'm watching the world change a lot in the last 5 years with the pandemic. And, sourcing of cacao, we had a chocolate crisis about 2 years ago where geopolitical issues and climate change really, it's the yield of the global cocoa supply suffered immensely, and it just catapulted the price. And it's nothing we've ever seen in chocolate or coffee, in my experience. And we weathered that, right? Because we had good relationships, because we stuck to our values. And I think that's what I'm really excited and proud of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. What would you say is something that is creating momentum for your business right now? You talk about 13 years doing it. Sometimes there's years that are on and off, but what's something that you would say is helping you grow or move forward or
Yeah. So sometimes as a small business owner, it can feel lonely, and you can also feel like maybe you're failing, right? The imposter syndrome, or that you're not doing the right thing. And I think having so much support from our state to interact with other business owners, and I think the fellowship is a really great example of this, that is definitely helping me continue to keep my head up and move forward, because I realize there's all these other business owners, and particularly women business owners who are middle-aged like myself, that are doing it. And we all feel the same way, about it. And so to have a space and have that available because of our state and because of agencies like yours, like it really does help. And I think knowing that people are rooting you on and championing you, even though you might not see them every day, it means so much as a small business owner. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Happy to help. Love it. No, absolutely. It's great to, support the people who are really doing the thing, right? And it's not easy, and there's not always resources available everywhere. So it's great to have things like Small Business Association of Michigan that make things like this possible, and really do sit when they say they're going to support small businesses, right?
Yep, exactly.
So not everyone starts out knowing everything as a business owner. I feel like, everyone grows and gains skills over time. What would you say is something that maybe when you started out, you're like, gosh, I'm so much better at that now, or some skill that you've grown through the years?
Yeah, well, I came into business from a very social justice kind of idealistic background. I went to graduate school in a program. It's called Organizational Management, focused on social change at the School for International Training. It's an alternative kind of business program. And then I spent a year in the field with Zapatista farmers in southern Mexico. These are Mayan indigenous people who are just standing up for their rights. And so I think, I had to learn the numbers and the data, and it turns out I'm kind of a geek about it now, but really to understand, to like have literacy around what is cost of goods? What should your gross profit margin be, right? Like, there is a whole language around financial literacy that you don't know unless someone, exposes you to it or you teach yourself. Now I understand it all, and I'm really glad that I do. But as much as I think Grocer's Daughter is built around values, if we don't understand our data and like what customers are buying and what they want, then it's hard to move forward. And so we pay a lot of attention to metrics and data in our business and financial statements. And like I said, now I'm kind of a geek about them, but Jody at her 20-year-old self would have been like, anti-capitalist or whatever. I really come to understand like everything's a tool. We're all humans. We just make it either work for us or it doesn't, right? And
Right, absolutely. So
right.
what's the next big milestone or next big goal? What can people expect coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. So for this year, we have a couple fun things. We've had a shed that we saved from a demolition of a building on our property, and it's been kind of sitting there for a couple of years waiting to figure out what it's going to be, right? And it also takes money to refurbish a building, but we're going to work on that this year. So hopefully this the garden space that we own is going to kind of come to life this summer, which we're so excited about. J1 visas, I don't know if anybody else knows what those are, but they're summer workers that come on an international exchange. 2 years ago, we had 4 folks come. Two, it's all women, 2 from Russia, or 1 from Russia, 2 from China, and 1 from Colombia. Last year we had 3, and this next summer we have 5. So like that 5 different folks from Colombia and China want to come and work with us is so exciting. And we kind of call it summer camp at the gelato shop because all of our, young women come and run the show, and it's just amazing. So we're looking forward to that this year. That's still happening. No matter what's happening in the world, that people still want to come and work in Little Empire over the summer is really thrilling. And then I have other like things going on that are more long-term behind the scenes that we're excited about, but feel like we need to make more progress before I'm ready to share those. Yeah.
TBD on those. We'll get to them. That's part of the big goal.
Right.
Absolutely. So where can people go to learn about you, visit you? I know you've Empire, Michigan, but for people unfamiliar, where do they go to find out more?
Yeah. So we're online at grocersdaughter.com, and we do ship all over the country. And then our socials, Instagram, Facebook, mostly TikTok. We're getting on there too. And so we talk a lot about lately how we're making products. So a lot of our socials will feature more of like the process stuff this year, which we're hearing from customers they're excited and interested in. So we brought on somebody new in January to help us tell that story a little bit better. So, we're constantly trying to hear what our customers are asking for and slowly implementing those things. So that's how to connect with us. And of course, reaching out at chocolate at Grocer's Daughter if anybody has any questions. We're always here to help. Yeah.
And then I do one last question, and it's just because I know the story, and for anyone listening, I'd love them to know the story. Can you tell the bear story from a few years ago?
Yes. So in 2024, so not last spring, but the spring before, we had a large black bear come out of hibernation and decide like it wanted a sweet treat. And it came to our back door a couple of nights in a row. We have a security camera that caught it, but eventually it figured out it could use its like little paw and pop open our locked door. So it was able to open the door, and it went into the shop, and there happened to be a 50-pound bag of sugar just right kind of on a rack inside the door. And it decided to grab that bag of sugar, turn around, walk a couple steps into our garden, dropped it on the ground, and like shoveled sugar into its mouth. And so people call it like our version of the cocaine bear is the sugar bear. But thank goodness, like it found that bag of sugar, because right there was all of the, 5-gallon bucket of honey and all of our chocolate. And so, yeah, we worked with MDART and everybody else to get out and running again, but the bear is safe and sound, still out there in the world.
Yep. I love it.
Our baby sugar bear.
We have the little book that was written about it too, that someone did. So
yeah, so a local woman actually wrote a book about the story, which is so sweet. And I think it is the most shared piece of media that we've ever had. And we still, even like a couple of months ago, had someone reach out about it, about featuring it on like some late night talk show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a year and a half ago. Yeah. So the bear lives on. So that's the important thing.
The bear lives on. Well, yeah. Jody, thank you so much for talking to us on Happy Hour Hustle today. We'll have the links to Grocer's Daughter and also the video if anyone wants to watch it. But just really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Maddie. I appreciate you too. Have a wonderful afternoon.